The Robber Bridegroom's tangled history barely gets untangled in the musical version currently playing at Stray Dog Theater. An old German folk tale first made available by the brothers Grimm. Their very grim version featured a Bluebeard-like central character and murdered wives. Bloody English versions named the protagonist Mr. Fox. Eventually, the great Mississippi writer Eudora Welty came across this tale and set it on the Natchez Trace in and around Rodney, Mississippi in 1795. She added a couple of characters from Mississippi folklore. The musical version evolved out of workshops that led to a production by John Houseman's acting company. They played Broadway briefly, took it on a successful road tour for a year, and returned with an expanded book by Alfred Urey and bluegrass-inflected score by Robert Waldman for a respectable run on Broadway. That had another national tour, an off-Broadway revival, and productions all over the country. All of this success is for a musical that may have the most confusing story ever. It demands an alert audience and a careful, very clear production. For me, the Stray Dog production almost made it, with some puzzles and loose ends still rattling around in my mind. The Robber Bridegroom calls for an almost story theater treatment. It begins with the actor who will play the robber, Jamie Lockhart, along with the rest of the company, telling us brief tales of their Mississippi ancestors before settling on Jamie's story. Jamie gets the show going by rescuing wealthy Clement Musgrove from a robber who plans to murder him and steal the bag of money he's carrying. The grateful Musgrove invites Jamie to his house for dinner and to meet his daughter, the lovely Rosamond. But before dinner, Rosamond has already met Jamie in his alternate identity as the Bandit of the Woods, his face disguised with a covering of berry juice. Unfortunately, Stray Dog doesn't use enough berry juice to make that disguise convincing, and it took me a while to figure out when he was Jamie and when he was the Bandit of the Woods. Rosamond falls in love with the Bandit of the Woods, so when her father tells her that he's bringing Jamie to meet her, she makes herself look bedraggled and unattractive so he won't like her, and she can pursue the Bandit of the Woods. When Jamie comes to dinner, he doesn't recognize her, and she doesn't recognize him. The confusion continues until finally it doesn't, with highly entertaining adventures along the way, still often confusing but amusing. And the cast, which at first didn't convince me that they were enjoying things as much as they pretended, soon got into it. Jamie is a great role for Phil Leveling, and he's great as Jamie. The music fits his voice, and he captures the character's rough-hewn charm. Dawn Schmidt's Rosamond, also in fine voice, grows from a self-involved innocent to a clever woman determined to get her man. Jeffrey M. Wright's Clement Musgrove, her father, survives some of his own innocence. Costume designer Gary F. Bell has given him a bowler hat and a practically psychedelic checkered suit. Descended from a grim tale, the Robber Bridegroom, of course, has a wicked stepmother, the second wife of Musgrove. Sarah Jean Dowling relishes every moment of her boiling resentments and jealous plots to get rid of her stepdaughter. Logan Wilmore plays Little Harp, the bungling robber who tried to kill Musgrave. Kevin O'Brien plays Big Harp, Little Harp's big brother and the brains of the duo. Unfortunately, Big Harp was beheaded for his crimes, but Little Harp still carries the head around in some luggage with the head's brains and voice. O'Brien sticks his head through a hole in the bottom of the luggage when he's needed. It's not a very convincing illusion, but it fits well with the general let's pretend story theater style of the production. Bryce Miller smiles happily as Goat, the young man who was absent the day they gave out brains, though the stepmother hires him anyway to do away with Rosamond. Kristen Ringhausen as his sister also missed that day, though their mother, played by Shannon Lampkin, has a better grip on things. Susie Lawrence very convincingly plays, again helped by Bell's costume, the Hart brothers' talking raven. Chris Saretsky and Rachel Sexton complete the population of Rodney, Mississippi as needed. Music director Jennifer Buckheit draws a fine choral sound from the cast and leads a splendid string band in the joyful country music score. Mike Hodges' choreography also draws on square dance and other country moves, also done well by the cast. Tyler Dino lights Justin Bean's rustic set, which takes advantage of the height of the Tower Grove Abbey stage and is perhaps almost too minimal. A few more hints in the set might have helped keep track of which location we're in. As director, Bean used that set well to keep the show moving and to maintain visual interest. The Robber Bridegroom is a strange musical, and you may leave feeling a little bewildered, but you will also feel like you've had a very good time anyway.
Yes, our responses to this were almost exactly the same.
Well, how about that? Let's hear some of that music.